temperature of Earth, has moved 5 degree in 100,000 years, right? However, in the last 100 years, it has moved.
Hi everybody, my name is Kumarjeet Panesar and we come back to you again with the next version of Sustain Stitch powered by Rent and Attire. And today I have Apar with me who's from Schneider. So welcome Apar on the show.
Thank you.
A brief introduction about yourself please.
Yes, I'm Apar and I'm leading one of the business unit in Schneider Electric.
Oh, wonderful.
Schneider Electric is been one of the pioneer in sustainable journey.
Okay.
We have been almost for a decade leading this effort, and we have won a #1 award from the Time magazine as a most sustainable company. So
Wonderful.
I'm honored to lead one of the business unit in India for that, and I have almost 20 plus years of experience. And thank you for inviting me here to discuss about very important topic for us as a Schneider.
Wonderful to have you here. So we'll start our session. Apar, what notable innovations have you seen in the realm of recycling and sustainability in the industry? And if you could give some examples that you have seen, maybe your industry or the others which you have seen around you.
See, I think let's go back a little bit. Why this climate change is so real? If you really think about the temperature of Earth, has moved 5 degree in 100,000 years, right? However, in the last 100 years, it has moved by 1 degree, which is very phenomenal in terms of UC. And what impact it would lead, to give you an example in terms of Indian context. So less than 1 or 2% of our population today probably is impacted by heat waves. But by 2050, that would lead to almost 10% of our population and area may get impacted by heat waves.
Wow.
What are we talking about? We are talking about 700 million to 1.2 billion population may get affected with that. So that's the kind of impact which we are talking about in terms of climate change. That's for real. Now, if you come back, Schneider has been on the forefront of leading technologies to basically using new technology and innovation to electrify and decarbonize. So let me simplify that for you. What does electrification means? Electric is basically a very efficient way of providing the energy, right? If you really look at against the fossil fuel, it's much more efficient.
Correct.
If you think about today in world, there would be almost 3 billion people will need more electricity. That means the consumption of electricity is going to increase. But our job is to make sure that we efficiently provide that electrification.
Okay.
And that's where Schneider comes in. If you really look at all our innovations and all our products, be it in data centers, be it in industries, be it in residential and industrial buildings, they basically provide solutions which actually improves the efficiency of electrification. Very simple example, if you see in your houses, long back you used to have lights which were constantly running. Now you have sensor-based lighting, which is actually decreasing the consumption of electricity. So by decreasing that consumption of electricity, actually what you're doing, you're providing more electricity to the people. Now coming back to the second point, which I said, decarbonization. What is decarbonization means? We really need to source electricity from other than fossil fuel, right? From renewable sources. And that's where you're talking about wind power, you're talking about solar, you're talking about all hydrocarbons, and that's where Schneider comes in again. So we have innovative solutions to provide to these all the industries to basically, and to take an example, we are not only doing it for our customers, but we are doing it for ourselves. Give an example, one of our factory would be using more than 50% of our electricity from renewable sources. So this is kind of efforts which we are taking as a Schneider, and these are the innovative solutions we bring on the table.
Great. So ladies and gentlemen, Apar just mentioned 10,000 years, a long time, 5 degrees change in temperature, 100 years, 1%. So what mankind has done is we have done 20% of the change which history took so many years to do that. So I think we are sitting on a ticking time bomb.
Yes. Yes.
Great. So circular economy is gaining traction globally. And how do you see the principles being applied effectively to promote sustainability?
Yeah, I think I would like to use some simple examples over here for audience to understand. Let's take an example of daily consumption, right, or items. I come from a generation when we bought a fridge, which was Voltas. My uncle bought Kelvinator. Both were two brands competing. But look at the durability of those fridge refrigerator at that point of time. 20 years, nothing,
Nothing happened.
right? Which means you really don't need to replace product for 20 years.
Correct.
Now look at the current life cycle
Every 3 years.
of any electrical equipment. 5 years, 6 years, they give 10 years warranty on compressors or something. But that's where the change has happened. Now look at example of your clothes. I remember, I'm sure everybody, many people in India which come from a very humble background. My brother will buy a shirt, and after 2 years, I will also wear it for 2 years,
The handmade.
and with a proud. I mean, with of course with a little bit dishearten my heart, like hand. I mean heart. Why I'm using
a
used
used
clothes,
shirt. A used
but
shirt.
that's what the circular economy was all about since then. So if you really look at the industry has evolved for more so for this kind of consumption. Basically, more consumption and less recyclability in that sense, and the durability of the product has reduced over a period of time. Number one. Number two, if you think about service as a model is not yet taken care. So when I talk about circularity, when I'm having a service model, so if you have an equipment, now let's talk about in your current air conditioner. So you buy an air conditioner today, you will have an air conditioner with 5 years or 6 years of warranty. And if you change the compressor, right, they will only give you warranty of 3 to 6 months. While you're buying a new equipment, which gives you 6 years of warranty. So what they are actually encouraging you to buy new equipment rather than using service. So it's going on the opposite direction. So in my opinion, this is another area where from a circularity perspective, this could be a very, very strong point, using service as an opportunity to extend the life of a product rather than encouraging individuals or consumers. So that's where again Schneider comes in. When we are talking about our products, we are not only talking about our products in next 1, 2, 3 years. We are giving them life commitments. For example, we are talking about number of operations it can run. So rather than talking about 1 year, 2 years of warranties, we are talking about our equipment will conduct 10,000 operations on that breaker.
Wow.
Then we have a service model, which actually, if you work with our service model, we would help to increase the lifespan of that equipment, which means essentially you can increase by 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. That means you don't need to buy for additional 2, 3, 4 years.
Absolutely.
That reduces the impact on environment by creating a robust design. First thing in the place.
Correct.
Second thing is making sure having service available to be able to extend. And third thing is recycle. So another option is, which is now becoming an emerging trend, that how we can recycle the products. You look at the phones, many companies are saying you give old phones back, all other industries we are talking about. That could also help the circular economy. So make sure all of us play a part on that. Do not throw waste in dustbin, rather try and recycle.
Recycle it.
Try and recycle the clothes, try and recycle your items which can be used to anybody else.
Absolutely.
That's what I think.
Very
about.
good example they gave of the phones which are there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, today the companies when they have that buyback scheme, basically instead of mining minerals from the earth, they are mining it from the phone which is there. So silver, copper, nickel, tin, whatever is used inside it, it's removed. Same goes for the vehicles also. So that is why the government is also saying that after so many years you have to change it, because the pollution of that caused by that vehicle is even more devastating on the
I mean, I'll give you an example. In our factory, so we have a lot of panels where we use wires extensively. So what happens? You cut the wire, right? There is specific length to the wire, but there are some wires which are pieces left. So we asked our team members what we can do, right? We are generally throwing them and it's going away. So an idea came that we would hire somebody in our team and we will have a machine which will remove the plastic or the material on top of it and save the copper. And we will reuse that copper to be able to use that in our product. A brilliant idea, small but large impact. You know,
Yeah,
that's how we are
globally,
driving.
if you see all Schneider factories.
Exactly. So,
It's a-
so we as a Schneider are continuously encouraging
Wonderful.
our employees, as I said, right, about the factory, you know, renewable source. We are using 50% of energy. So these are examples.
Small points.
And you can do that at home as well.
Absolutely.
All of us can do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's do a bit, as Apar said. They can do it at a factory level. Why don't we do it at a home? Great thought, Apar. So coming to the next question, rental fashion is gaining popularity as a sustainable alternative.
Yeah.
So I don't have to buy; I can go and rent it out from,
Yeah.
say, a company like Rent and Attire, and they've got some wonderful spread of clothes which are there.
Yeah.
So from your perspective, what advantages does it offer in terms of environmental impact compared to the traditional retail models? You did speak about that pride in wearing my hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
Of course, with a grudge, why can't I get new clothes?
Yeah.
But now that you think of it, I think it's a one feels blessed that there was somebody
Sure.
who gave those clothes to me and I could wear them. So I can.
No, I
can
think
connect.
first of all, it's a wonderful concept. And if you really look at, we have been traditionally following that concept in India for many years. Now we are trying to Rent and Attire is like Schneider is pioneer. You know, I have seen few companies, but there are not so many companies yet,
Absolutely.
which tells me that there is an effort to drive a change, a sustainable change in the fashion industry. Now, let's take an example. I just dig a little bit data on the fashion industry. From 2004 till 2015-16, roughly in 10 years, our consumption of clothes have increased by 60%.
Wow.
I think all of us know that we have 20 stacks of clothes, right, in our wardrobe. How many
20
we are?
multiple 20
How
stacks.
many we are? How many we are using? Second, you remember we keep some clothes, we put them in our suitcases, and we only use them when there is an occasion. And I don't know when that occasion actually
Is
comes.
going to ever come? Or
Ever
you're going to
come.
fit into those clothes
And
also.
I'll give you my own example. In 10 years, 15 years back, I bought a wedding attire for myself that was costing around 35,000 at that point of time. Must be now 80, 90,000. I wore it once and I
It's
couldn't
lying.
wear it
It's
again.
lying with you.
It was lying. Then finally I gave it to somebody who could use it after 10, 12 years. But this is what I think we do not understand the impact. So there is a growing demand. There is a growing consumption. Now, what Rent and Attire brings, for me, it's an absolutely fantastic idea from one perspective. If you really look at Indian consumers, there is an affordability and there is an aspiration. So Indian consumers are always switching from affordability to aspiration. And Rent and Attire exactly fits in between.
Okay.
So if you are talking about a brand, a lot of people wants to, you know, it's a pride in India. It's a social circle, right? They're influenced by that. You want to wear really good clothes, but you can't afford it. So what do? Right? So you use a concept like Rent and Attire, which can make it affordable, but can also make you look aspiration. You remember, right? You can afford a bike, but you still will buy a car, right?
Yeah.
But that's the concept. And when I look around for Rent and Attire, it's a brilliant concept in terms of sustainable perspective, but also affordability, and as I said, the aspirational perspective.
Correct.
And third, finally, thing is, you can use them, you can give it back to them. You don't need an additional wardrobe to keep additional stuff. You can declutter your house. There are so many
Absolutely.
advantages, and I think Rent and Attire is leading the pack, and very proud to be here to
Thanks a lot.
to be with you on show.
Wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our session with Apar. We've learned a couple of good things which are there. I think the adverse impact by mankind has been done, and the name as this season, the series is Sustain Stitch. So I think we can do our own bit, and the old adage that a stitch in time saves nine. I think now is the time for the future generations. If we have to save Earth, we have to take action now, starting from individually, personally, in your house, and then going to your society or your building or your condominiums, and then to the districts and the country level. So let's make a difference. Thanks, Apar. for
Thank you
joining
very
us
much
here.
for inviting me on the show.
Absolutely. That's all for today. Thank you.